Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2018 NFL Wildcard Weekend Post-Game Analysis Show. I am the host of the show. Obviously, who else is here? If you're seeing double, prepare for trouble. That's Team Rocket. On top of that, you might be suffering from Genjutsu syndrome. You know what that means? Somebody caught you with their visual powers. Nonetheless, I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Let's break down what happened this past exciting wild card weekend. Like I said in the pregame analysis, we had 3 rematches from the regular season. Exciting games, man. I was thoroughly entertained. My picks, I'm 2 for 2. All right, I had Seattle winning. They let me down. I had Chicago winning. They let me down. But we're going to break down exactly what it is that transpired. First and foremost, we had an AFC South matchup. The Indianapolis Colts traveling to take on the Houston Texans in NRG Stadium. First quarter, or I should say first half, absolutely dominated by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, let's first talk about the score. 21-7. The Colts had a 21-0 lead. All right, they were playing with house money when they entered in the second quarter. They could have played to extend the lead, but it seemed as if they started to get a little bit lax offensively, and they said, you know what, we're just going to run out the clock. And indeed, that is what they did. You want to know why? Return of the Mac. It is Return of the Mac. Once again, Return of the... Oh my God, Marlon Mack ran all over the goddamn Texans defense. 46 yards on the ground. I can't remember. 146 yards on the ground. Absolutely stupendous performance from Marlon Mack. Now, let's talk about what was going on in the passing game. Andrew Luck was getting whatever he wanted in the first half. He played extremely efficient. All right, played very good on third down. They were driving down the field with no sort of opposition coming from the Texans defense. And like I told you guys, the game will be won and lost in the trenches for both teams. If the Texans cannot generate pressure against the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts, who I believe are the offensive line of the year, the best offensive line this particular year, and you saw it, Andrew Luck wasn't touched. He didn't get sacked. He didn't get sacked. I can't tell you on my hand how many QB pressures there was on this man. Maybe 3? J.J. Watt, where were you? Where were you? That's what you get. Where was he at? Jadeveon Clowney, you might as well came in with the clown mask because that's what you were looking like today. You didn't play well, or I should say 2 days ago, because today is Monday. You guys played on Saturday. If I said today, what am I, in the past? Did I hop in the hot tub time machine? Nonetheless, terrible performance from the defensive line of the Texans. Now, granted, offensive line of the Colts is no slouches. Obviously, they're going to go out there and do your job, but you got 2 Pro Bowlers, all right? You got a transcendent talent in Watt. You got a #1 overall pick in Clowney. These guys got to go and make plays. In this particular game, they did not. Now, let's talk about T.Y. Hilton getting whatever the hell he wanted the first 2 drives, all right? Outside of that, he really did virtually nothing else after the first 2 drives, but he did enough to help the Colts get that 14-0 lead. I said for the Texans, their offensive line would have to protect. They did not. Watson was running his entire damn game, running for his life. More importantly, Lamar Miller had 18 yards on the ground. 18 yards. Coming into the game, I said that the Colts haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher all day, or I should say all season. Turns out the Texans didn't either. This particular game they did, because Marlon Mack, Return of the Mack, all over the damn Texans defense, rubbing his nutsack. All right, there was pubic hairs all over NRG Stadium, courtesy of Marlon Mack. All right, but the Texans' running game was non-existent. You know who their leading rusher was? Deshaun Watson, 76 yards on the ground, running for his life. DeAndre Hopkins, did he make an appearance? Absolutely not. He was donating his entire game check to the young lady who was shot and killed. He went out there for a good cause, but the Colts pretty much clamped that man up. He was doing what he had to do, but there was no time allotted to him to try to run his deep patterns to where he can get open. And the times that he was open, Watson was either on the ground throwing the football away or having to scramble for his life. Kiki Cootie, who was coming back, and like I said, he had a good game against the Colts the first time around. In turn, he did this particular game as well. I think what was it, 11 catches, 110 yards, and a TD. On the TD, a lot of people said, man, it should have been a fumble going outside of the end zone. In a sense, I understand, but at that particular time in the game, the angle in which he came in, the changing of the hands, because it looked as if it was in his right hand and then went to his left or his left hand, there was a little bit of a bobble, but I don't think that's a loss of possession. I'd give him a touchdown. But outside of that, Colts dominated them, man. The Colts dominated them, man. That's pretty much it. I don't know what else I can say. The Colts had the lead. They conserved the lead. Then they went on to win. It was just the better team walked away with the W. And that's one of the issues with teams that don't have an offensive line to protect for their quarterback. When they're under duress. Now, Watson, he can make plays. He can. Believe me, he can. But this particular game against that defense, with your best wide receiver in Hopkins not performing as well as you needed him to, you're not going to win games like that, especially with the lack of run game that they had. Good win for the Colts, man. Good win. That I was 1-0 at that point. Then we're moving on to them boys. We got Vick, Amari Cooper, Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, Skip Bayless, Tony Romo on commentary, Jason Witten on commentary, Troy Aikman on commentary, Darren Woodson as an analyst, Michael Irvin as an analyst, Jerry Jones, we them boys, we won a playoff game. Good win for the Dallas Cowboys, all right? Good win for the Dallas Cowboys. They took care of business at home. I thought Seattle would be able to get it done. Why? Because you saw Dak Prescott be the second most sacked quarterback in the league. But this offensive line reminded people why they are so good and why they have been top 5 when Travis Frederick was there for the past 4 to 5 years, really. But they played an astounding game. I think Dak Prescott got sacked, what was it, one time? Outside of that, he had some time in the pocket. Now, a lot of people are going to go and credit a lot of this success for this particular game to Dak. I would not, because he did the exact same thing that he did when they played against New Orleans. It was a lot of dinking and dunking, but it was very efficient when he did. He only threw the ball 15 yards down the field, I think about 4 times or something like that. I heard somebody sent me the analysis from like Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, something like that, where they were talking about down the field. I was going to break it down, but if somebody else already did, hey, I'll take your information as face value and go with it. But there was a lot of dinging and dunking. However, the man was extremely efficient. But the story of the game on offense for the Cowboys was that man Vick, because he ran all over Seattle. All over them. 137 yards, might I add. He had about 30 yards receiving out the backfield, over 160 total purpose yards. This man was playing his ass off, all right? He came to play. And you can't beat the Dallas Cowboys if Zeke is murdering you on the ground. You'll never win. That's how they play, man. They play through Zeke, and when Zeke getting it done, the Dallas Cowboys gonna win. Might I add Amari Cooper over 100 yards. All right, he was able to take the top off the defense. Did he have any huge plays down the field? No. But when they needed him, he was available. You saw Cole Beasley leave the game early, come back into the game. He didn't really go to the locker room. It was just, my ankle, I need tape. So that's what happened, but he was still out there making catches when they needed him. He didn't have a huge day, but an efficient day nonetheless. All right, on the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about what was going on with Seattle, all right? Because we're going to talk about their offense versus the Dallas defense. Russell Wilson ain't have no time. All right, he didn't have too much. No, I shouldn't say he didn't have any time, because the pressure was here. It was present throughout the game, but on every drive, they had drives in which they could have put some stuff together. I didn't like the fact that Russell Wilson didn't trust his legs as often as he should have. I'm not saying become a mobile QB, but when you're looking down the field and you're seeing, all right, this guy's not open, this guy's not open, this guy's not open, you don't got to hold on to the ball that long. I felt as if he could have ran and picked up maybe 2 yards here, maybe 3 yards here, maybe a 7 here. He could have easily had about 80 yards on the day, but it seemed like he was waiting for his receivers to get more open throughout the game. All right, there was pressure. It was there, but not to where you felt as if it was the same situation with Deshaun Watson. In Russell Wilson's case, he should have trusted his legs a little bit more. Now, for the offensive coordinator, I absolutely hated the play call selection the entire doggone day, because you knew they were going to come in and try to run the football. They should have used more play action. They should have used way more play action, because the Dallas Cowboys played defense that was very soft on their coverage. They expected Seattle to come out and run, and Seattle kept trying to run. I understand that if that's what your philosophy is, you come in and do what's been working. But man, if you know this play action fake might just catch somebody, go for it. Tyler Lockett had some phenomenal catches, but he only had 4 catches. What was it, 4 or 5? Come on, man. I didn't like the play call selection from Seattle at all. More importantly, they murdered themselves on defense because of the penalties. because of the penalties. After that phenomenal interception from KJ Wright, pass interference, yes, I understand. Nonetheless, they called it an interception, whatever. After you had that momentum switch, you go and get 2 penalties on that drive? What was it? Unnecessary, unsportsmanlike conduct on one of the offensive line. Then you had a holding as well, I believe, on that particular drive. Then when the Dallas Cowboys were driving, you had a situation in which you had pass interference and pass interference again. What are you guys doing on Coleman and on KJ? What are you guys doing? That's not smart situational football. More importantly, the KJ Wright pass interference, he shouldn't even have done that. You were in perfect position. Just stand there and extend. What are you doing? Stuff like that is very frustrating as a football fan because you see a player do something that you didn't have to do. You didn't have to do that. It wasn't similar to what we saw, I can't recall which game it was, where there was a pass interference that was necessary to save a touchdown. It's probably going to come back to me later. But that sort of penalty is accepted. This sort of penalty where it's a bonehead sort of move, you can't do that to yourself. More importantly, the lack of pressure on Dak. Like I touched on it earlier, the offensive line for the Cowboys came to play and they performed. But the Seattle Seahawks, you got to be ashamed of yourself to not be able to run any sort of stunts to get to this man. Because Dak, when it came time to, you saw when he went and did we the Thetas. Hey, we repping Thetas. Hey, Thetas, the Thetas. We rep the woo, woo. And he went on the top of his head like this and stomped the yard in 2007 for that first down to put him on 1st and goal. There was no reason why that should have happened. It was a 3rd and 14 situation. You let this man run through 2 arm tackles. It looked as if people was singing, what was that movie? I can't remember what it was. I think it's something on Christmas or something like that. Everybody holding hands. He done broke the held hands and went inside the 5. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Defensively, Seattle did not play their best game at all. At all. Now, that Dallas defense is no slouch. They came to play. All right? They were playing phenomenal football all damn day up until the final couple of drives because I felt as if Seattle was about to pull off a miracle. When Tyler Lockett went down the field and caught and just burned the defense, I said, wait a minute now. Is this going to be a Dallas collapse? Because everybody kept messaging me, talking about, we got Vick, we got Vick, we up 10. I was like, all right, listen, hold on, slow your roll now. Don't get too confident. But nonetheless, the Cowboys were able to walk out with the W, and we cannot ignore the injury to Janikowski because the old man did go in, my leg, and done, tore a hamstring. At least it appeared that to be the case. I don't know the complete diagnosis, but him not being there, also missing that field goal at the tail end, you already know he's not that great of an onside kicker, but at the last play of the game with the onside kick, you got to have somebody who could kick an onside kick. That was absolutely atrocious. That drop kick, you pretty much kicked it straight to Cole Beasley. I don't know what they were thinking, but nonetheless, they're both moving on in the postseason. Won their 3rd playoff game in the past 23 years. I feel as if that has to be stated. No, you're a Cowboys hater. Why are you going to bring up stuff? Why can't you just be positive? Facts don't really care about your feelings. That's just what the fact is. Nonetheless, you won this week. Nobody can take that away from you. Stop being so goddamn sensitive. And let me say this about football fans before I get into the Sunday game and start off with the Chargers and the Ravens. But I just want to say this about football fans. There are far too many fair weather fans who have an opportunity to have their voices heard. I'm not a fan of that. All right? I'm not a fan of censorship at all. I believe anybody should be able to say what they want to say. But you're constantly seeing these fair weather fans who don't know football, people who only like their teams, they don't like the sport of football, come out and have an opinion on things. I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it. All right? I hate it. I don't like discussing football with people. Most of the time, this is the best way to diffuse it, all right? Because I feel as if the people who watch my videos, the small community that we have here, because there's a ton of people who came along, but those who understand the sport, when you want to identify somebody who's a fair weather fan, if they say somebody's overrated or something, ask them for the definition of it instead of disputing back and forth. Just say, okay, this quarterback's overrated, this receiver's overrated. Okay, what is overrated? And list me 5 players that are overrated. When you hear them telling you all pros and people who have been to multiple Pro Bowls, understandably, Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, but I'm talking about, they earned that position. When you talk about all pros appointed by, fellow teammates, when you talk about top 20 talents in the league across all positions, and they're going to come and tell you they overrated, stop conversing with these people because you're going to end up having an aneurysm, high blood pressure, several different headaches, a concussion. You might want to go out and commit homicide because you're going to get upset. Don't waste your energy on these idiots. But moving on, we got the Chargers taking on the Ravens, and I became 2-1 on this particular game because I said the Chargers would win, and lo and behold, they did. Why? Because the same thing that I told you about Lamar Jackson. He's one-dimensional. He can only use his legs. The Chargers are going to force him to pass. And what happened? They eliminated the run game completely. You want to know how? Gus Bradley deserves Defensive Coordinator of the Year on this one particular game. Let me take that back. You can't get the entire Defensive Coordinator of the Year on that one particular game. But if there was an award for 1 week, somebody needs to give it to him, because dropping 7 DBs on the defensive front and leaving the front 4, absolute genius. Absolute genius, because when you're running those read options and those linebackers aren't fast enough to react to those sort of stuff, you put some DBs in there with the quick twitch, the quick hip movement, hip flexes that are elite. They're going to get tackles. And that's exactly what happened. Took away the Ravens' run game. More importantly, first 8 plays, the Ravens fumbled 3 times. What is this? You saw Butterfinger send him the tweet with the eyes like, wait a minute, you looking for a new sponsor? What's going on, Lamar? I don't know what the deal was. Putting the ball on the ground. You would have thought it was Catholic school. Everybody is 12 years old. It's the 7th grade and people are just starting to hit puberty because balls was hitting the floor. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. You can't. Where's the ball security? Where is the ball security? More importantly, the play calling absolutely sucked because the Ravens kept going in and we're just going to keep trying to run the ball down your throat, run the ball down your throat, run the ball down your throat. Lamar Jackson didn't complete a pass for 2 complete hours of real game time. 107, he completed his last pass. He completed the next pass at 3:08. Absolutely atrocious. All right, moving on. The defense was doing their job because the Chargers were moving down the field, because you cannot deny Phillip Rivers was moving down the field handedly on that Ravens defense. But when they got inside the 30, they tightened down. And they forced Michael Badgley to go out there and kick field goals all damn day. And he made them. It reminded me, through 3 quarters, reminded me of when the Ravens played against the Indianapolis Colts in 2006. When it was, I believe it was Adam Vinatieri versus who was the kicker for, was it Matt Stover? I think it might have been Matt Stover who was the kicker for the Ravens at that time. Somebody correct me, preferably a Ravens fan or somebody who is a football fan who remembers. Because by this time, I'm probably going to already look at Pro Football Reference. I'll probably forget at the end of this video, but let me know in the comment section who the kicker was, and then I'll acknowledge you because I'm going through all the comments during tonight. But nonetheless, during the national championship, of course. But, this particular game, defenses came to play. Then, 10 minutes left to play after the Chargers took a 23-3 lead. Anthony Lynn, Gus Bradley make eye contact and say, well, this game is done. Let's take out Derwin James. Let's take out Joey Bosa. Let's take out Melvin Ingram. Let's take out... I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because their very next drive, when the Ravens were going down the field, they started to play very lax. They were doing way more rotations than they were doing throughout the game. I was very perplexed. A lot of people were asking, why don't they bring in Flacco? I personally believe they should have brought in Flacco because Flacco brings a different dynamic. Is he this savior of a quarterback? Absolutely not. However, you bring in Flacco, the threat of the pass is actually real, because you know he can bomb it down the field. And we've seen the Chargers get beat deep throughout the season. You saw Mike Davis get beat deep. You've seen Casey Hayward get beat deep. All right? Might I add, just want to point this out before I continue with the Chargers defense and the Ravens offense, or lack thereof. Let's just point out the special teams. Desmond King played a phenomenal game on special teams, all right? Played a phenomenal game, looking like Darren Sproles of the older Chargers, all right? This man went out there and took care of business, punt return, kick return, whatever the case was. He got it done and put the Chargers in perfect field goal position. So here's a hand to you. I'm clapping my bicep, because if I try to clap my hands, the camera would fall on the floor. We don't have to have that happen, all right? Is this the floor? I'm in a car. What do you call the bottom of a car? Is it still called the floor? Is it a floor of a car? We ain't talking about that right now. But phenomenal game from Desmond King. But for the Ravens, that was atrocious, all right? John Harbaugh was able to avoid, because of the late surge of the Ravens and the lack of defense from the Chargers, Raheem Moore moment from Derwin James when he jumped way too early. Man could have had an interception. I believe it was 4th and 11. What are you doing? That is ridiculous. But no, was the 4th and 11 the touchdown pass to Crabtree, or was it that? Whatever it was. But that should have been an interception. Inexcusable. The catch to Kenneth Dixon should have never happened. But John Harbaugh was able to escape, being on the hot seat once again for not putting Flacco in, because everybody was turning on Lamar. And this is one of the issues that I have with rookie quarterbacks. All right. We've been spoiled, and I've touched on it several different times. We've been spoiled to see rookie starts like a Mark Sanchez, where you see him in the AFC Championship, a Cam Newton, where he shatters every single record, ultimately gets broken by an Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, RG3, all these other quarterbacks, and I'm sure there's been a couple over the past 6 years. It's escaping me right now. But these rookie quarterbacks who come in and light it up, all of a sudden now we judge every single rookie to that standard. That's not the case, because traditionally a rookie quarterback comes in, they struggle, and then they start to get a hold of stuff. Look at people like Jared Goff. Look at people like Carson Wentz. It takes some time. Lamar Jackson went 6-1. Now, granted, the defense is hugely responsible for that late season surge. The running game, that is attributed to Lamar Jackson dual threat ability. So you have to keep those linebackers at home, and it helped in the offense. But to sit here and say, oh, this quarterback is gonna suck after one game, after seeing the masterful job from the Chargers, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Those Ravens fans who are sitting there and screaming all day about, oh, get him out of here, throw Flacco in there, he sucks, he can't get it done. And then Jimmy Smith on the Ravens had to go over and say, yo, do you remember how we got here? The utter disrespect, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like fair weather fans. It's all right to be critically, able to analyze what's going on. It's all right to be able to critique what's going on, but you're not going to sit over here and call this man a bum after he's the reason why you made it back into the postseason in the past 5 years. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not. You roll until the wheels fall off. Should he have made a change? Should Harbaugh have made a change? I believe that to be the case. But don't sit over here and start calling somebody a bum after they done won 6 of their last 7, and you were talking about that's our quarterback. Woo, we going to the Super Bowl. Michael Vick Part 2. Ravens flop. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Angered me, had the indignation invigorating inside of my soul. All right, don't do that. I don't like to be angry. I'm calm, I'm mellow, I'm whimsical. All right, we moving on to the next game. God damn it, son. Russell Okung, what you holding for? What you doing? Let me hold you tight, if only for one night. I don't like my vocals on that particular one. Maybe that's not the song for me. Nonetheless, the Chargers winning against the Ravens. Finally, we had our Sunday afternoon game football. All right, we didn't have Sunday night football, but the Eagles taking on the Bears. The Eagles winning 16-15. Cody Parkey, put your motherfucking head back there now. A lot of people going to talk about, well, the ball was tipped. The way that I saw it, the trajectory of the ball was fixing to miss anyway. I don't believe he would have made that kick. It looked like it was headed towards the crossbar anyway. What's going on? This man is in love with crossbars. It don't make no sense. Anything dealing with cross, he must be there. I don't know what the deal is. Get your foot replaced, all right? Stevie Wonder competition, Bird Box challenge. The man's foot is only for decoration. Get him a prosthetic. Whatever's going on in the blood flow, that must be what the deal is. Get him a prosthetic leg. Maybe that'll help him. Maybe if he doesn't have the blood flow from his original DNA going into the leg, and it's a stock leg bought from somewhere, he might be able to make a kick without hitting a crossbar. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But I'll say this. Eagles defense came to play. The Eagles defense came to play because they kept Trubisky. He wasn't able to do those dinking and dunking the way that he wanted to. The run game from the Bears was absolutely nowhere to be found. It's on a milk carton somewhere. In fact, the run game from the Eagles on the same goddamn milk carton, because there was no run game in this particular game. The defenses came to play. All right, but my one question that I had for Trubisky coming in, can he throw the ball vertically down the field? And he answered the call, because he did. You want to know why it didn't work out for the Bears? Because they can't keep their feet. Anthony Miller catches the ball. He could have had a touchdown. Did he stay upright? Absolutely not. I'm falling to the floor. Allen Robinson, perfect pass. He could have ran into the end zone. Oh, my feet. I'm falling to the floor. They did ultimately score on one, I believe it was the Anthony Miller catch, and then ultimately Robinson found himself in the end zone. But there were 3 different occasions throughout the entire game in which receivers caught passes in stride that could have led to a touchdown, but they could not stay upright. That cost Trubisky not only maybe a 350-yard game, but also a 3-touchdown game as well. They left points on the field. Granted, Trubisky also had some passes that should have been interception. He had some bad passes out there. All right, the Eagles' lack of hands. What happened to my hand? That's ultimately what kept them, from getting defensive touchdowns. And now we'll talk about the Bears' defense. They came to play. They played exceptional. But that D-line, we need to have a conversation. Because you guys were nowhere to be found. In the run game, oh, you were doing your thing. In the pass game, where were you? Khalil Mack, cut off the stereo. Because what was he doing? What was he doing? Akeem Hicks, where were you in the pass game? There was some pressure here and there, but the Bears had one sack? Was it one? What did these guys do? Roquan Smith, he was balling. The secondary, there was no Eddie Jackson. My ankle, he wasn't healthy. You don't got your all-pro back there. They were playing very lax defensively. Were they giving up a ton of passes here and there? Nick Foles didn't play his best game. But it starts with that D-line. And that D-line failed them on pass coverage. Because the final drive, the D-line could not touch this man Foles. Couldn't. And the secondary could not hold their coverage. I told you guys, Alshon Jeffrey cannot be allowed to get off. The first half, it was the Alshon Jeffrey show. This man was all over the field. He was getting whatever he wanted to move the chains. You know it was high energy. He's returning back to Soldier Field. You know this is a guy you can't allow to get going. And the Bears defense allowed it to happen. I was going to say Ravens or Chargers defense. I'm still caught in 1 o'clock. Maybe I'm thinking about the last time that, Lamar Jackson completed a pass. But nonetheless, the goddamn defensive line of the Bears, they let him down. Let's talk about some stats here. All right. Allen Robinson, he went off. All right, 10 catches, 143 yards and a TD. I'd like to see more 50-50 passes down the field. I'd like to see more passes down the field with Allen Robinson because we know we can get it done. So Bears fans, moving forward, this is something you should take into consideration. Next, all right, Trey Burton, waking up this morning, or I should say yesterday morning, my grind, you can't play. You know, he would have been a high energy sort of player as well, playing against Philadelphia as well. And what happens? He can't play, so that takes something out of it. All right, the play call selection, I wasn't a fan of that either. More importantly, the 2-point conversion. The Bears take a 15-0 lead. They have an 15-10 lead. They have an opportunity to make it a full touchdown. What do? It's a toss/shovel pass to Taylor Gabriel. Does he even weigh 200 pounds? And you expect him to run through the likes of a Fletcher Cox, a Michael Bennett, Haloti Ngata. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What was that? I don't like that play call at all. I know Nagy likes to make those sort of calls throughout the season, and you started to see them work. This particular time was not it because you've seen it on film throughout the whole season. They're prepared for that. That's a bad play call. Because when I saw that happen, I said, oh, Foles about to go down the field. And what did Foles do? Go down the field. 4th and goal. Golden Tate runs that out route, peeks inside. The corner goes and peeks too. You got help inside. What you peeking for? Football is alignment, assignment, responsibility. And he broke all 3 of those. Because peeking inside, you get beat outside. Eagles take the lead. They go for 2. They fail. Here come the Bears. Trubisky down the field, connects with Allen Robinson. Phenomenal pass. And Cody Parkey comes in. We're going to ice the kicker. Hey, and we're going to ice the kicker. Pepsi commercial. Bam, what happens? He makes the first one. Oh, but it don't count. Second one, doink, doink, doink. The clown is out there playing that kicker.
De Cody Parkey. 43 yardas. El snap. Le mete el pie. Distancia, dirección. Le dio el poste. ¡No! ¡Falló! ¡Oh! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡Los Eagles se van con la victoria! ¡Ay, papá! ¡No, señor! ¡No, señor! ¡Chicago! ¡Chicago! ¡Nos vamos para New Orleans! ¡Filadelfia gana el partido! ¡Le dio el poste!
What are you guys doing? Eagles moving on to the divisional round. The Bears club dub. Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend. You've come to talk with me again because the Bears are going home packing. It's ridiculous. What are you guys doing? I'm 2-2 on the picks, but the Eagles stood resilient, went down the field, got themselves the W. The Bears, they're going to be eating away at this loss for the longest. So I should say the loss is going to be eating away at them. Nonetheless, that has been my analysis of what happened on Wildcard Weekend. All right? You guys let me know what you thought of Wildcard Weekend in the comment section. We'll have some dialogue about it later tonight because I'm probably going to post this after I record my commentary. I'm yet to get that done. It's about 3 o'clock where we speak. I don't have a watch on. I don't know why I continue to look at my wrist. I believe my wrist bone's probably looking back at me through my epidermis. What is he looking at? There's nothing on top of us. We're actually naked. Ridiculous, all right? But this has been the show. I have been the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. We're moving on to the divisional round, the Elite 8 of the NFL. We're going to do our pregame on Friday because I want to go throughout the entire week, find out what the injury status of camera cut off, but I remember what I was talking about. So we're gonna go and post it on Friday so we know the injury status of what every team is gonna be, because I don't want to have a situation where we out here posting something on a Tuesday that everybody tears their ACL on a Wednesday. We're playing with replacement players, but tune in to the divisional round this weekend. Find out what happens in each game. We got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Are the Rams even going to be hosting a playoff game? Nobody has any loyalty in LA. It might be a home game for the Cowboys. Then we got the Eagles traveling to take on the New Orleans Saints down there in Mardi Gras, Bourbon Street, New Orleans. Let's see what's going to go down. Is it going to be a repeat of what happened the first matchup between both teams? It was 45-7 in favor of the New Orleans Saints over the Carson Wentz Eagles. Can Nick Foles rally his team around to win in New Orleans? In the AFC, we got the Chargers going to Star Foxborough. Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady. Remember the last time they had a postseason game against each other? Controversy, people upset, but what will happen in Foxborough? And finally, we got the Indianapolis Colts traveling to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. What's gonna go down? Both explosive offenses. One team has a defense, the other does not, but they have the MVP. What'll happen on Divisional Sunday? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. But if you are tuning into Dragon Ball Z, I've got some news for you. There's gonna be no divisional goddamn games. You're not gonna have a good time. Actually, you will, because Dragon Ball Z is extremely entertaining. I suggest it to you guys. You should probably be watching it. In fact, if you haven't watched it, what is wrong with you? But we ain't talking about Dragon Ball Z right now. We're talking about the divisional round of the goddamn playoffs. I'm excited. I can't wait for it. Just tune in. Damn it, it's gonna be a good show.